Riika from Tasty Paddle. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm enjoying the first sunny day in Gibraltar and went to the beach for the first time since actually being in South Africa in January and February. So it was nice that the summer finally arrives into Europe.
Lovely. What's the weather like there?
Right now it was like nice 20 degrees and full of sunshine, so it's perfect. Maybe
Nice
I looked even
20
a bit red
degrees.
because
In South Africa, 20 degrees is a little bit on the chillier side.
yeah, but here there's not that much. Well, there is wind, but for me as a Finnish, we call it summer once it gets +5 degrees. So I'm happy.
Okay, no, it's good to be chatting to you. Um, the pedal community wants to know a little bit more about the Tasty Academy, and they see some of the great videos you put up on YouTube and on Instagram too. A very unique style of teaching pedal.
Yeah. I have to say, it's something that we created with Gabo throughout these years. Of course, because he has an amazing background of paddle of I think more than 12 years, so he has a really good understanding. And then me, because I really needed to start from zero. I have no background in paddle, and actually I ended up becoming quite good. And it's just because I really play by the tasty rules, because if I'm a living example, if I can make it to the national team, if I can win tournaments, then anyone can, because paddle is a game of consistency. It's very simple game to get started, but extremely difficult to understand and to master. And basically, tasty is about that. Tasty is about trying to simplify instead of practicing endlessly beautiful strokes. And when you look at Instagram and when you look at YouTube, there's a lot of coaches teaching very detailed tips for different types of strokes or vibras or whatever. And tasty is a complete opposite of that. It's something that you can actually achieve the same day. Then of course, when you come the next day, we will require a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. But you cannot expect to jump 10 meters. You have to actually take the steps to go there. So that's what tasty is about. Tasty is about keeping it simple, adding little by little, but mainly it's about choices, about construction in playing and having
But
fun.
of course, yes. I mean, that's the name as well. I mean, maybe you can tell us about that. You know, the Tasty and slogan "Play Hard." What is that all about?
Well, tasty. Like we can start with tasty. Tasty is Riika. So tasty basically came from my name, which in Spanish, rico means, of course, it can be rich, but it also can be a meaning for a delicious food. Something is really tasty. And when we were deciding a brand name, tasty of course came up, because I always believe in brands. I believe in ideology. It's much nicer to actually uh, to feel yourself in a brand and to look up to something than a person. A person is, person. And then, for example, if I look up to Chingotto, who's my favorite player, I will never play like him. But tasty is a concept. Anyone can, become tasty. And that's what, people feel a lot, because once we share this passion to paddle, and once people join our camps and everything, they feel like they actually become part of tasty. They become part of that passion, because when we start paddle, I'm sure you know this, you go crazy. everyone goes crazy with paddle. Like it's and there's different levels of craziness. There's craziness that you 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 start to argue with your wife because you have to play paddle three nights in a row, or there's craziness levels like me that I end up leaving my job and my home and everything just to jump into paddle. But most of the people get passionate about paddle, and that's what you cannot get from Chingotto. I cannot feel that from a player. I cannot feel that from a coach. I cannot feel it uh, from just paddle university or that. Tasty is more about feeling it. So yeah, and play hard was just the slogan on it. Like it sounded good.
What is it about paddle that is capturing people in a way that maybe other sports are not doing? Like this addiction you're talking about, this amazing you spoke about a person needing to go and play paddle 3 times a day, having an issue with their spouse. This is not only happening in Finland, where you're from, or in Gibraltar, or this is across the globe, right? So what is it about paddle? When you get down to it, what does this game have about it?
I think it depends a lot about culture too, but padel has so many different aspects. And to me, one of the things why padel is so good because anyone can play it. You can take uh, a 60-year-old grandma there from the street with walking with her 10-year-old kid. None of them ever touched a racket before, and in 15 minutes they can play. And you don't have that with other sports. You cannot just go to the golf course and start playing. You cannot even basketball is too complex to explain the rules and everything. Like all the sports are so complex, but paddle is so difficult to get started. So a lot of people actually tried it. Then why did they get hooked? It's because the learning curve is so fast in the beginning, and everyone wants to feel good. And that's what gets you hooked. It's like a truck. You just want more and more and more, and then of course, to me personally, I'm very, very analytical. My brain is all the time going, and paddle is the only time I I cannot focus on anything else except for the ball. So for me, time goes like this. Suddenly I start playing, and my mind is just in the ball instead of thinking of what happens in work or what do I need to do today or what this guy said to me in the morning or I need to call my grandma. No, it's just the ball, and it's such a nice feeling to be present in life, and I think that's what that's why we meditate, that's why we seek that feeling. But I think paddle in that way, it brings the presence to the moment. Then of course it's nice, it's fun, it's social, but I think that's the core of it.
So what were you doing before paddle? Or is there do you find like life, there's life before paddle and then life after, right?
Yes, there is. No, and it's such a nice feeling because like I said, I always think what did I do with the time? Because right now I use all the time I have possible for paddle, and I always want to ask people also like what did you used to do with that time? I was an engineer. I actually have two master degrees in electrical engineering and then one in business development. So I was studying. I had a really really nice high career in Finland, working as a health and safety manager of a big company. So I was a workaholic, like I still am, but at least now I can put that energy into something I love.
From going to that to starting the Tasty Paddle Academy. I mean, how does that happen, right?
Yeah, the Tasty Paddle Academy was, of course, that's the sad thing about paddle. You don't really make money with playing yet. Hopefully in few years, people actually, the tournaments and all these things actually start paying you money, and then because starting a brand is very expensive, and even to that day, it's not like you get a lot of money from anything. It's just it's a hobby in a way, and at the same time, I'd rather wear something that I love, and I'd rather wear my like I use my own racket because I know it's much better than any other racket I buy from the store. But back to your back to your question, that's how we started coaching for money. Like that's when I left my job to coach full time, and then of course because we are two coaches working, it allowed to open a full academy of 100 and 150 people joining it, and then actually starting to do the camps and starting to do the methodology and all that stuff, trying to build it in a structured way instead of just coaching paddle, because anyone can coach paddle. Like you can find millions of good coaches that can teach you a forehand and teach you a backhand, can feed the ball, but to actually and academies too, but to actually have an academy with an ideology, with a methodology, that you cannot find that much.
And when I started playing paddle about two and a half, 3 years ago, uh, I'd go on YouTube and search certain things, certain rules, certain tips or whatever, and you're one of the first ones to pop up. So that's where I mean I would see some videos of your guys coaching and some have a good laugh as well. Like you're saying now, have enjoy it and learn at the same time.
Yeah. No, and I believe it's also energy, and I think that's something that many coaches, me too, sometimes tend to forget, that at the end of the day, you come to I don't know your level, but I don't think you are gonna probably be the top 100 in the world. So let's say you're not ever gonna be a professional making money in paddle. You can make money other ways in paddle, but not as a professional player. So
Not
I
even the
have
top
to be,
100 in the neighborhood.
yeah, no, but still, I need to understand that exactly you want to be maybe the best in your neighborhood, and that's enough. So I have to require you to play a certain level, not like the professionals. So, I need to make you feel good about yourself, but at the same time, challenge you. But the main thing is that uh, I need you to be able to put the ball in, and that's why I think the way Tasty is developed, it's a lot about rallying, it's a lot about consistency, and to my opinion and to our experience, it brings the result so fast, and also it's fun. Like it's fun when the ball is moving and you're actually cooperating with each other. But back to my original subject, after this detour, many coaches get so serious because they don't mean bad, but they want you to hit like them. They want you to be like like you, and you cannot. You cannot. You haven't played tennis for 20 years. So they should be in your boots understanding what is that you actually want, what is it that you can do, and at the same time you come there for sports, so you have to be able to run a lot. So that's what people are happy to run after a ball and play and be challenged, and that's it. That's the secret to good coaching, instead of just explaining you 10 minutes how to hold your racket, or adding details. That is in the professional level. Then if you are the top 100, then it matters. So I think that is one of the secrets why people enjoy the way of training, because it's fun, and we try to make it fun. And you can watch a YouTube video and you can apply whatever you learn like this right away. Like, of course, there's a million things. You cannot change 10 things at the same time, but you can pick two, you can pick three, and try them on your own.
Okay, so what are the two things? If I'm playing a game tomorrow, what are the two things you'd say? Add this to your game. Watch two of these videos here, and you'll improve your game by a couple of percentage points, which allows you to compete.
uh, let's say one. one thing would be that don't make movies in your head. That don't try to play perfect. I think it was, I have the book here. Let me say what rule it was, because I had it here actually. I just made a video of it yesterday. So it's rule number 7. Your shots don't need to be graded 10. And to me, that is something that people don't understand, that when you train, especially when you train from the basket, you train shots that are 10. You're not happy with if we grade from a scale from 1 to 10 on a school grade or ABC, whatever. You're not happy if your ball bounces 2 meters to my head height. You're not happy. You want it to bounce like this if you hit the vibra, but it's not real. And at the same time, even if it bounces this high, your opponents might not actually do anything about it. They might not counterattack or nothing, but because you have this movie in your head, you're always trying to get better and better shots, and then you end up missing. And that's what padel actually becomes like. You have to be able to play with neutral shots majority of the time. Like 80% of your shots needs to just be neutral. Then 10% will be shit, and maybe 10% will be actually good ones. So I think that's one of the things that you just have to start doing, putting the hot potato on the other side.
So this comes from Tasty's 100 Rules of Pedal.
Yeah, it's here. 100 rules of padel.
I have that book too, and I've been reading it. So one of the questions I want to ask you, I mean, you compare No Man's Land to the people that are calling the Earth flat earthers.
No, no man's land becomes no man's land if you stay there. So if you stay there, then you're fucked. Sorry to say, sorry for my English. Professionals can stay there because they are so good at recovering back and forward from there. And once you understand that it's a transition area, that, when you get a shot in the no man's land, you need to either move forward or you need to move back, but you cannot just, stand there all the time. Then it becomes actually a no man's land.
So yeah, I mean, I guess other coaches use the word transition area then to.
Yeah, but definitely for, let's say, if I teach beginners, if I teach people that haven't been playing less than 3 months, even after that I start teaching them transition area. I teach them just 2 positions, at the back and at the net. But after that, they need to start using that area, because it's where you are the most of the time.
So with beginners, what's the biggest mistake most beginners make?
What is the biggest mistake that beginners make? I think their preparation. So this book, and my teaching also, because I come from no background, is a lot about a concept we call zero skills. And zero skills needs basically no skills. So it's just your focus. And what I think the beginners' biggest mistake is that they don't prepare correctly. So they don't prepare. So they try to do the motion all together. They prepare late. And thirdly, they first start moving and then they prepare. And that is the opposite. First you prepare and then you get to the ball or not. But the preparation is always the first thing. And then, of course, the smaller it is, then the better. But to me, it's all about preparation. And then, of course, your waiting position. So one of the rules, for example, in the book is, I also did yesterday, is don't become a cowboy. So, have your racket in 2 hands instead of, you see people holding their racket in one hand like they're having some sort of pistol in their hands.
Okay, no, that's interesting. I thought, so then we can tell the beginners it's not the racket that's the major issue that most beginners have in the beginning. But I mean, since you did speak about rackets and you guys do have your own line of rackets, um, what sets your rackets apart from other rackets out there on the market?
Well, let's say there are only few big factories in the world making rackets. Now it's growing, but it used to be, five or six racket factories in the world, and most of them in Pakistan and China. And I think, to make a racket for them, it costs right now 10, 10 to 15 euros. But, our rackets are made by one single guy in Spain by his hand. And, because we have the concept that you can actually even cook your own racket, so you can choose from every options, and I will happily help you build a perfect racket for you. So it's a concept that it's more personalized. The materials are, they come from Italy, and they're the same materials they use to build cars with, the carbon. And it's just so much more, how would I say, artisan compared to China mass production. But of course, the margin to make money is very small compared to big brands, because the big brands are big brands and everyone wants to play with them. But I always say why we started this is because if it's the best racket in the world, the best racket, but it's an ugly color like yellow. I would never play with yellow. Sorry, I won't play with it. I will never buy it if it's an ugly color. But if it's a really nice color and very cute, I might play with it even if it's not the best one. So for me, I like the fact that you can actually choose your color, because it's like an accessory. Like it's nice. But yeah, it's just basically they are more handmade, more artisan, and then that's it, away from the mass production.
What difference does a racket make to a person's game? You know, we have some players that play a couple of games and they start blaming the racket and that sort of a thing. But when you play, does it make a massive difference to a player's game? Look, we are talking at the recreational level mostly now, right? We're not talking at the pro level where 0.1% of improvement on anything is a massive difference. So does the racket make a difference to a recreational player?
Does a racket make a difference? Let's say a good racket helps. It helps, but a professional, even for me, when you get to a good level, you can play with any racket. You get used to any racket. Then I think even for beginner, like a total beginner, it doesn't matter that much. But a good racket helps, and that's why, for example, we ended up selling a lot of rackets through just to our customers in academy. Like we had lessons that everyone of 10 people would just have a tasty racket, because, for example, the sound and everything, the feeling, it helps. And our rackets are very forgiving, let's say. So the sweet spot is very big, and when the material is nice, the sound is super nice. So it helps you to, for example, hit cleaner. But at the end of the day, can you play with any racket? Yes, you can, unless it's a racket that vibrates a lot and you end up having elbow pain. That's the only, way that if you're having elbow pain, my conclusion many times it is caused by the vibration of the racket.
Okay, no, that's interesting, and of course you're talking from experience, coming as a international player for the Finnish national team. Tell me a little bit about that now, because we spoke about the coaching side, but you as a player too, you play at a high level, and I want to know a little bit about the women's game at the highest of levels, where it's at the moment. Obviously, you were there from a few years before, so I want to know where it was, where it's at right now, and where can you expect it to go in the next few years?
My game, or women's game in general.
The women's game. So at the yes, at the level that you've played at, the international game, Finnish national level, that type of.
That's a very good question, because I love the the women's game in general. I think everyone should watch women's game that are not again in the top 100 because it's more real. Women don't have winners. Women don't have, we don't have incredible smash just by the physics. There are few players on the tour that actually have a good smash, like Gemma or Paula Jose Maria. They have a good smash, but just in general, when you play with women, it becomes even too more into this, into tactics, into playing as a team, because you cannot just win with your shots. You cannot smash the ball out. And it's actually funny if I look at women's matches, even on the top level, I would still say even maybe half of the points, not maybe half, but at least one third end up in someone's mistake. Then to me, as a player myself, the difference is from category C to B to A. Does the mistake come after 10 shots, after 30 shots, or after 50 shots? And that's the truth with women's games. So I think in women, it's extremely important that the two players actually play the same game and they understand the same choices and they make the choices as a team. And that's I think that's will be the future of paddle. Right now, it's a bit of a jungle. There is an amazing tennis player coming behind every corner, but they go there with their shots. So they have amazing shots. And then when they end up losing a game, they think that I need to improve my shots. I need to improve my viboras. I need to improve my lobs. And you might have to do that, but at the end of the day, it comes down to your choices as a team. I think it's a tactical game like football or any other team sports, that it's where you place the ball. You can be the amazing ball kicker in the world. Like, of course, having Messi in your team makes a difference, but at the end of the day, someone has to pass the ball to him.
So, from a financial perspective, right? In terms of the women's side now, is it viable for for women to take it up? Obviously, if they're not going to be in, say, the top 10, or would they have to do, would they have to find other means to support that career?
Yeah, of course. Like coaching is one of them, and that's the sad thing, because if you want to be a top athlete, you have to dedicate 40 hours a week to that, and that's, for example, my issue too, always, that you just have to work. So you cannot be a top athlete unless you make money of competing, and to make money from competing, I think I think you have to be right now in women, and in women actually even top 40, top at least top 40, I would say, even maybe even bigger actually, to start making money.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at it in the tennis world, for instance, right, the women and men, they earn equally. So, as the game of tennis, obviously, at the size it is at the moment, um, you can make a full career just out of playing, especially if you're in the top 20 or 30, players in the world. Um, in pedal, the money is not equal for men's side and women's side, but we are starting to see an increase, year on year. Bigger prizes, a lot more interest. There's more eyeballs. There's more interest from brands. So it is increasing, and I mean, obviously, the beneficiaries of those will be the women's side as well. I mean, I do hear a lot of calls for from the women's side to have a sort of mixed doubles in the circuit as well, to give them another opportunity. But then again, that also takes up more time on, and less
Yeah,
focus
yeah,
on
no, it
on.
does. No, and it does, and I think especially on a pro tour, maybe it's a nice category for some players, but on a top level, they cannot risk playing another mixed game when they have their final coming. Like they just cannot risk it. It's too demanding. But yeah, It's a very tricky question because I understand that, and me too, many times. Like you are watching the men's final, so I understand at the end of the day, men are the ones that bring more viewers into the stadium than women. So and especially in tennis and everything, I understand the difference in prize monies. But it was actually super nice to see. I just went to play Britain Padel Tour last weekend, and they actually had the same prize money for men and women. So I think until the we are talking about super high prices as in tennis, it would be nice, especially in the lower level, to support uh, both equally, because I don't know if it makes a difference to the organization if the prize money is 2,000 for women or 1,000. Like it's a nice gesture at the moment to support both equally. But then I understand when we are talking about hundreds of thousands and millions that whoever brings the money gets majority of the money. It's just business. It's the way it is.
So you go across the globe, right? And you coaching people, you talking to people about the game of paddle. Everyone's asking you, should I hit a bandeja or should I hit a vibra? I mean, people understand the game and they're using it, and they go to you for coaching to improve themselves on a personal level. But the sport itself also has the Premier Pedal. The highest level of the game is Premier Pedal. Are there a lot of players that you meet that are watching Premier Pedal? Because if you look at, for instance, say football, I would say 80% of people watching football and maybe 20% are playing football. Whereas it seems to me, I may be wrong, but it looks like 90% of people are playing paddle, not yet. Maybe 10% are watching paddle on a Premier Paddle level.
Yeah, for yes, of course. I think there are not many uh, watchers that don't play paddle. I think majority, I would say 99% of people who watch paddle actually play paddle opposite to football or other sports. Like in that way, you take Bella Castin and or even Tapia, and you put it on a plaza here. uh, he will be in peace. It's not like people are gonna bother him because no, they're not that recognizable. Paddle is still so small. But yeah, it's nice. I was coaching in Cameroon in Africa last year, and it was the third court that they were actually building inside the whole country. And these guys that I was coaching with, they wanted to become coaches. They were tennis players, amazing guys. Hello to Kenny if he's watching. But it was funny because they knew the players. They knew it. So I guess anyone who's really passionate will watch it also because it's so nice to watch. It's not boring. Like it's very nice to watch. Even if you don't play paddle, it's nice to watch. Nicer than, for example, tennis. That is just many times to me. I find it so boring because it's just serve, fault, serve, winner. Like it's nothing happening, and then they pick up the ball half of the time. But in that way, paddle it's much more fun with the long rallies. But for sure, there are also players that don't watch it because of course it takes time and it's much more fun to play.
It certainly is a spectator sport. I definitely agree with that. But let's shift gears a little bit. You spoke about coaching in Cameroon. You talked about being in South Africa earlier this year. Which countries are the countries we should look out for as the next pedal hubs, basically?
It's very difficult to say because like I said, I was in Cameroon, and it was this black guy that I was coaching. He was 21 years old, super tall, 2 meters, huge reach, and then played tennis all his life. Amazing skills, super difficult, like super easy to teach him. Learned everything super fast, and I think if he if he would actually train for 6 months, he could play the Premier. He could. So there are people like that. But I think Asia also, especially in women, Asia will be one of the countries because of the racket sports background that will grow. But when it comes to men, I think we are already seeing it on the top level that the physics play a big part. Like, Cuello and Tapian, all these, like, they are tall guys. Like, of course, again, Chingoto is my favorite player, but he's an exception. Like, you really have to be super good to be on the top. So of course, if you're tall, if you're quick with your feet, it will help. So I think in that way, countries where you have that, you have maybe good tennis players, those will be dominant in the coming years. But then of course it comes down to money, because padel is one of the sports that is the best business also. So wherever padel enters, it starts with people that have a good level of income. So that also stops from young people that are skillful entering the market quickly. So I think that's why also tennis players will shine in the beginning, because if you're good in tennis, you usually have also a good background.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your plans now for the future. So your this will obviously be your goals. One is as a player, and on the other hand, your business plans in terms of Tasty Pedal Academy and perhaps even other ventures.
Uh, right now, I'm focusing on the book. So I have now got the English version out, and I'm trying to get translations done in Spanish and Chinese, actually, and of course Finnish. So I'm trying to get the Finnish one, and I will actually focus on promoting that. Then after summer, I hope to start selling more coaching lessons around the world. I would love to go back to Asia, because I used to study there. It's very close to my heart. So I would like to go play also the tour there and explore new markets, and just spread the passion of paddle, because that's what I love. That's what I love. So those are my future plans regarding Tasty. So now focusing on the book and focusing on rackets and helping people to learn. Then of course, competing wise, I try to play and train every single day. My problem is here where I live, there's not good partners. Like, there's just not enough players, because it's a small place. So, and at the same time, I believe a lot in the tactics and committing to your partner, so you don't swap around like in Tinder, every week. That you actually start a project with someone and develop. So I'm looking for actually someone that I can develop with, and then I might go into competing full time. But until I have that, I just do it mainly to keep my level.
So if you compete full time, what would be your aims?
My aims is to keep being on the Finland's national team. That is my aim, and then find a tour that I can play in, and it will be fun to play. I would love to play bigger tours, but to be honest, to get to Premier with fit points, it's just, again, if you want to get fit points, it takes so much money to travel, to go to the tournament. Then you have to commit to be there full week, because you don't know your score, and then you cannot train those days, and you have to book a hotel, and then you end up coming back, and the flights are expensive. So and to get few points, so someone has to commit to getting the points. If you go 2 years and you play all the fifths, yes, you make it to top 100, and then you will be qualified to play Premier. But I don't. It's a very unrealistic investment at the moment for me.
So what's the alternative? What's the alternative to that?
I think other tours are a good alternative, like the Britain Paddle Tour, like the Asian Pacific Paddle Tour. for women. Then of course I think A1B is nice for men, and I think it will probably even, I don't think it will take over, but to me it's already almost at the same level, like with prize money and everything. Like it's starting to be there. So it's nice actually to see different tours.
So you think the A1 can compete with Premier Padel?
I would like to think so. I think Premier, well, let's say the people behind Premier are so big, and they have the means that if they feel threatened by competition, of course, they can do whatever. Like it's so professionally organized that they can always win if they want to, because it's just so much money behind the tour. But I think players wise, the A1P is very very tough, and I think again, if you are let's say you don't if you're playing qualies in Premier, or you make it, you lose first round, maybe it's better to actually play A1B, because you get there, you get the visibility, you can grow as a player. If you have sponsors and you lose first round always, you don't get any visibility. But if you make it into final on A1B, you actually, like we see Tolito having 100,000 followers and making a lot of money, but no one would know about it if he was just playing Premier 3 times and never make it to the final actually. So
So it's a business decision.
I think it's a good decision for the players that actually you know they wanna make money. They play of loving the game, and they wanna have visibility for their brand and for sponsors. I think it's a very, very good tour also.
So and then the other side is the with the national team. Um, what's your do you have any ambitions for Euros and for the World Championships and hopefully the Olympics?
Yes, of course. That would be my biggest dream, and I think that's the reason why I still keep training. And I know I will kick my ass off. My goal is to go to Argentina to actually train for a few months. That maybe one day I could actually play for the Olympics. Like it would be nice, and it's nice because I'm I'm 33 years old now, and for women, you can still play even to 45 even. Like if you really take good care of yourself and you focus on your physics, you can still I can still play top game for 10 more years. So I'm just hopefully getting started.
Now that sounds fantastic. So, I mean, before we go, I want to also ask you about South Africa. So that's my home country, but you were here 2 months ago. So I want to know what's your thoughts. You've touched with some of the players as well. You've done a bit of coaching. I know you have a coach that's based here too. Yeah, give me your thoughts about South African paddle.
But South Africa, I have to say the wineries and the food is amazing, because you always want to hear that. So you have to be proud of your country. It's a nice country. Paddle wise, it's nice. The sad thing is that in the world, paddle is growing so fast that there's not enough good coaches. And same to me is in South Africa, that majority of the coaches are tennis players that converted into to paddle. And of course, again, they are very good at teaching different type of shots. But then when it comes down to tactics, when it comes down to patterns and choices and rallies and all that sort of stuff, I think that's a country where you can develop. But I loved the attitude there for people to learn. So everyone was so nice and everyone was so open to learn. And I think you also are a sports country, so you just need a good structure, a good national coach that starts to develop a way of playing for South African players. And I think in general that is something that many countries are going to need in the future, because right now everyone is just, most of the countries are just doing what they can with what they know, because there's just not enough good coaches and not a real proper methodology to follow. And if you take a coach from Argentina, they will teach what they think, but then if you take another coach the following year, it will be completely different. So, but that's how it is in sports. But at least I think you guys as a country, you need coaches that teach more than just the strokes, that actually start teaching tactics. But still, you will do well as South Africa. I believe so. You are good in all the sports, and it's nice. It will be nice to see where paddle goes, because it's booming in every single country at the moment.
Where do you see it going? Where do you see the sport going?
The sport. I have a feeling the next big thing is gonna be US. Right now, it's like tingling below the surface, and you can see a bit of spots here and there. And I think once it breaks the barrier, it will boom like pickleball did at its time, but even bigger, because pickleball to me is a nice sport. It's similar to paddle, that you can take your grandma and you can start hitting the ball right away, but it is very boring. You cannot do pickleball 5 times a day for 10 years in a row, like you can do paddle. Like you can play paddle five times a week easily. Me too. But pickleball, no, it will become boring. So I think once paddle breaks that barrier, it's there to stay, like it has been in every single country.
And then hopefully the big brands and just the eyeballs in that country, they will bring some more money into the game for everyone. I mean, we've
Yes,
seen in
no,
pickleball too, right?
everything is so big in US, so it just needs one crazy person to say yes. So it can change the market completely. They are good at those things. So I think if we're gonna see something new in paddle, it will come from US. Also technology wise, like I think there's a lot, as an electrical engineer and all that, loving technology, IT. I think there will be a lot that we can develop in paddle, and those things will either come from, again, growing markets like Asia or US, because US always has this let's get it done attitude. Everything just gets done no matter what.
So, final question before I go, and I think a lot of people want to know this, especially the people I play with, is who takes the balls that go down the center?
I love the question. And there's always the reason, you, because you have a forehand there. Uh, it's in the book also. So if you don't believe me, buy this book for your friends, so you can just search it up from there. And that's the major reason why I want to have a book, because at least you can play with one way. You can agree to this rule that I'm now teaching, and then after that you will play with that, as long as you know. If you agree with your partner that you want to take everything from the middle, do it. But the person cross court is always more responsible for the middle. But with the overheads, when the lob comes, especially me as a forehand player, it's very uncomfortable when the lob comes to my left shoulder to back up. So always the backhand player is more responsible on the lobs. If we are playing cross court from backhand to backhand, if I play on backhand side, I take 90% of the overheads that are coming, because it's easy for me. I can jump, I can reach. And if you've ever seen me play with Gabo, he plays the same way. So if you're on the backhand, you have to be more responsible for the overhead game in any way. But then when we talk about low shots, the person is cross court is more responsible also on at the back. So if you play to the middle and it's cross court middle to me, then it's my ball. So the person cross court is also responsible for that.
Okay, no, thank you so much. That's a fantastic insight. And if anyone wants to know a little bit more about the 100 rules of paddle, there's the book. Maybe you can show it to everyone, and yeah, I mean, go get the book and improve your game.
It's in Amazon, so you can order it from there. Maybe I will put it to Kindle at some point also if you like an online version. But to me, it's always one rule each page. So it's more about a book that you don't read at one go because you can't remember 100 rules, but it's something to have in your bag, to give as a gift to someone that loves paddle, and have it on your club. So it's a nice to have a physical book.
Thank you so
But thank you,
much.
Zaahid. It was nice, insightful question. So thank you.
The pleasure's mine. Thank you.